Hello, it's iBookBinding's live stream, and we return after a bit of a pause. And today we have the first guest of this year. It's Tarlen Handayani, a bookbinder, book artist, book restorer. Would you call yourself a book restorer or book conservator? Because it's different.
No, I just a book binder.
Just a bookbinder, okay.
Yeah,
But
just
you
a
do
book
some
binder.
restoration work, or you call it
Yeah.
repairs. Anyway,
Yeah, repair.
Tarlen comes from Indonesia, and we're going to talk about Tarlen's work and I guess state of bookbinding and book arts in Indonesia in general today. So we're quite intrigued because it's an absolutely new area for us, for Pavel and for me. And I hope it will be an interesting talk. I'm sure it will be a very interesting talk. Thank you, Tarlen, for joining us today.
You're welcome. I'm so excited too.
Yes, we are as well.
Can I ask the first question? I read a bit about you online, and you did not start bookbinding in Indonesia. Yours was an unusual start. Could you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, I learned bookbinding for the first time when I got a cultural exchange program in United States in 2008. At that time, I was volunteering in Etsy.com. So I helped the Monday craft night activities there. And then the coordinator asked me to, maybe you can teach here. But because I a grantee, I cannot take money from the teaching activity. So they offered me to take whatever class that I need. So I found a bookbinding class there. So I learned for the first time very basic bookbinding. The pamphlet stitch, the two signature stitching book. Yeah, that's very basic. But after that, I really fell in love with that bookbinding.
So how long ago was that?
In 2008. So it's 15 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, quite a while.
Yeah, quite a while. And then after that, I start to learn by myself from the internet, from the books. And then I found a community on Instagram, Are You Book Enough community. In that community, and then I met one of the bookbinder from Finland. Kaija Rantakari, maybe you ever heard her name?
We had Kaya on our podcast a couple of years ago already. Yeah, so she makes really interesting books in all different sorts of shapes and forms.
And poetry, And then she told me that maybe you can find the courses about traditional European binding technique, because what I have been doing so far, it's more experimental. I try to explore how to showing with the different pattern, create my own pattern. So Kaija told me that if you learn the traditional technique, it will give me the structure and good foundation to more explore about the bookmaking process. And then in 2017, I got invitation from my colleague in Canada. And for Indonesian, by the way, it's not easy to travel abroad, because we have to apply visa.
Yeah.
So because that invitation, I got 5 years visa to Canada. So I decided to find courses, and then I found the Canadian Bookbinding and Book Artists Guild, and I just signed up for bookbinding intensive. And then 2 consecutive years, I back and forth every summer to Canada for join with the program, the Bookbinding Intensive 2, and then Bookbinding Intensive 3, leather work, paper treatment. So I become a serious hobby. That's become my serious hobby as a bookbinding things. Yeah. Yeah.
Could you tell a bit about the program, where it is and what it involves? How intense was it?
Yeah.
Summer program, how long is that?
Yeah. It usually only took 6 days course in every summer, but intensive every day, like from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. every day in Toronto. And then continue with another program if the schedule just side by side. So that happened in every summer. So that's why I have to go back on summer. Yeah. But in 2019, I also attend to summer school in British Columbia in Canada. Mm-hmm. And I took a book as art class in
which part of British Columbia?
Metchosin, the Victoria Island.
Okay.
Yeah.
It should be beautiful.
So
there.
It's very beautiful, especially in summer. Yeah. Yeah. I took.
I wouldn't go there in the winter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
It's not a good idea.
It's like +5 in British in southern British Columbia in winter, so it should be okay.
Oh, okay.
I took a book as art, so it's completely opposite with what I learned in CBBAG in Toronto. Yeah, because in book as art, it's give me more free expression to explore book as a form and structure. But in Canadian and bookbinding, Canadian CBBAG, it's more traditional and more strict to the rules. Yeah, this is the way that European tradition doing in the bookmaking process, something like that. And my teacher, she is a conservator, a book conservator. So she teach me a lot of the fundamental concept about how bookmaking process and how to treat a book as a manuscript, as a something precious. Yeah, that's very mind opener for me. Yeah, because I cannot find that kind of courses, and also teacher in Indonesia who can teach me about the book making and also book restoration. Yeah.
What's the general tradition of bookbinding in Indonesia, and how widespread it is? Because Pavel and I both come originally from Russia, and in Russia there is some tradition of bookbinding, but during the Soviet times many of it was lost or sort of it mutated into something different. So currently in current days it's pretty hard to find yourself a teacher or a school. When I was facing this problem, in the end I understood that it would be cheaper for me to go to the United States to study in a school there than to study in Moscow, because there were some courses, but they were more expensive than the school in the States, plus the tickets, plus the hotel and everything. So it was pretty strange for me. So what's the state of bookbinding in Indonesia?
First, we have to understand that Indonesia, it's very, we live in everyday life, natural disaster risk, yeah, because we on the ring of fire of natural disaster like earthquake, the volcano eruption. So our civilization respond to that situation. So that's why when we learn about the civilization in the our country, we will find the stone tablets. Mm-hmm. We wrote our history on the stone tablets, on the temple. Yeah, so books came to Indonesia because the religion mission, like Islam cleric who came to Indonesia and bring some holy books to teach the Islam religion, and then the colonial came like from European country like Dutch, Portuguese, and then United Kingdom also came to Indonesia. They start to colonialize our some islands in Indonesia and bring the Christianity mission also. Yeah.
And it also comes with books. Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, there is also a Buddhist tradition, especially in Bali, of palm leaf manuscripts.
Yeah, the tradition, the palm leaf came after the stone tablet. Yeah. Yeah, because the Buddhism and Hinduism in Indonesia, and then the Hinduism in Bali, it's completely different with Hinduism in India. Yeah, because mixed with the local religion, local belief. So the tradition of literacy here in Indonesia, it's more oral history tradition.
Sorry, continue.
Yeah, because of the risk, the natural disaster. So the natural disaster can just wipe out all the evidence. Yeah, that's our situation here in Indonesia until now. Yeah, so the tradition of the book as knowledge as a book, mostly bring by the Islamic tradition and the Christianity tradition through the colonialism and the religion mission. But the craftsmanship is not automatically developed in our country. They just bring the book, but not the skill, how to make it and how to take care of the books. Yeah, if we go to some museum in Indonesia, we can find like here in Yogyakarta, we can find a lot of Javanese manuscript with simpler technique that European tradition did. Like the blind tooling, it's not really meticulous, it's not really complicated. And also the skill, it's like a mix up between the tradition, European and then Islamic binding, all combined in one manuscript. Yeah, it's not really follow the rules like in Europe tradition. Yeah, because it's so many influence came to Indonesia, bring by colonialization and the religion mission. Yeah,
you mentioned
that's the situation. So
yeah, You mentioned that colonial powers bring the products, but do not bring the knowledge, and I guess that's quite often how colonial powers work. They keep the knowledge to themselves and prefer to not to spread it really. So that's
or because we have a lot of influence by the Dutch colonialism, the Dutch just transfer the knowledge only for production, not only for transfer the knowledge itself. Mm-hmm. So just for the sake of the publishing production in the publishing house for their interest, something like that. Mm-hmm. So it's not really complete transformation of knowledge about that bookbinding craftsmanship. Yeah.
Interesting. And what's about the modernity? How is it now? What's the state of bookbinding in Indonesia at the current moment?
So so it's like a missing link. Yeah, when I start to learn how to bound a book, I cannot find a friend here in Indonesia. So that's why I joined with the international bookbinder community, because I need to find a friend who can learn together. Yeah. So even in the university, there's no subject about bookbinding. They just give the reference, but never teach the student about how to. Yeah. So it's hard to find. Like National Library, if they need to repair their collection, mm-hmm. they will ask the expert mostly from the Dutch, yeah.
Okay.
Or from the Netherlands, who collect most of our history archive, yeah. Mm-hmm. Because the colonialism situation. Yeah.
I also wanted to ask you if there was any influence from. You mentioned Japan, but was there any more influence from Japan in this bookish way? And was there any influence from China? I don't really know how far their influence spread. But well, as supposed inventors of paper some 2,000 years ago. I guess that there may be some significance coming from China. Was it though? How was it?
Yeah, maybe China influence came with the Middle East influence here mm-hmm. In Indonesia, because the religion mission.
So again, through the Islamic influence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Japan, I think they only came for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
But
okay.
there's no. That's really. The bitter part of our history came from the Japan colonialism. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a long story about it.
Yeah.
And Islam, we should probably note for our viewers who are not aware of it, Islam has been in Indonesia for some 700 years. So it's from High Middle Ages, from the 13th century. And what I have seen of Indonesian books have been very typical Islamic binding, with a flap, with very Islamic traditional looking ornaments. If it wasn't said that it was from Indonesia, I would never have guessed. But I read that at least until the 19th century, there were schools and workshops of Islamic style bookbinding, especially in Java, but all over Indonesia. So what you're saying, that tradition has been cut down sometime in the 19th or 20th century, and now there are no guilds, no professional organizations.
because in Indonesia, the manuscript treat as the sacred things. So sometimes they just keep it until ruined by itself without knowing what written on the book. Yeah, like I can show you one of the Islamic manuscript written by one of the holy imam here in Java. It's too small, or
yeah, it's a bit too small.
It's very small.
Small, yeah, very small. Wait, maybe I can find it. Maybe I can.
Yeah, it's tricky with Instagram.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
Yeah, this one written by one of the imam, the holy imam in Java. That this is the situation of you can read. Yeah. Raden Maulana, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
He came from the Central Asia. One of the imam from Central Asia who bring Islam here to Indonesia. Yeah, that's the situation like this. Sometimes the cover, the structure is European technique, but the detail like the N-band, it's Islamic N-band.
Yeah.
So it's like a more eclectic, yeah.
So mix of styles and traditions.
And yeah, mix of style and tradition. This is the Javanese manuscript with the local Javanese style of illumination and the border decoration, but you can find this detail. The N-band, it's still Islamic N-band. I don't know why. Maybe it's become a trend at the time, or I don't know. Yeah.
And
well, they are beautiful. So
this?
Yeah, they're beautiful. And
how old is this book? How old is this style? This is extraordinary. This is very beautiful.
Yeah, mostly made in early 18th century for the Japanese manuscript, but for this one, I think it's 16th century. Yeah, I will show you that I prepare. This is written, handwritten by the ancestor of my good friend. This one that you post on your Instagram.
Yeah.
Like the first condition, yeah, like this. Yeah, it's really bad condition. This book, the family just put this book on the cabinet and never touch it for very long time because they thought that it's very sacred. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But my friend, because he really want to learn what his ancestor written on that book, so he gave that book to me to repair. Yeah, after the negotiation about how far he want that book repair. Yeah, yeah, because in Indonesia, if you do the reparation book reparation work, it's like a social work. You can make a living from that work.
Yeah.
So you have to do the commercial things like what I have been doing.
Yeah.
The commercial one, producing the merchandising, produce a notebook for store or for corporate merchandise, something like that. That's making money. You can and can subsidize the reparation work. It took a lot of time and a lot of commitment to finish it. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So.
And I wanted to ask you one thing. So far, everything you've shown and everything I've seen in museums were books on paper. Are there any books written on other materials, like prepared
Yeah. That you mentioned before, from the lontar, it's a palm leaf, like in Bali and some part in the Hinduism influence. They mostly written the mantra on the palm leaves. But in North Sumatra, they written the story about the tribes on the bark. So they create paper from the bark, the specific kind of woods. It's called pataha, and just fold it like accordion book. Yeah.
Oh,
That's in the north.
Those are fascinating. And what about parchment with cows being sacred for Hinduism and pigs forbidden animal in Islam? Not so many animals left to explore, so it's not used.
We didn't. It's like a skip period of the literacy history in Indonesia. We just know a book as a form with a paper, not with the perkament. Yeah, because but we have another tradition who use the cow skin. It's our puppet wayang. Puppet skin, the traditional Javanese puppet. Yeah, with the shadow puppet made from the skin, cow skin. Yeah. So the puppet shadow show, that's the process of the transfer knowledge from the puppet master to the audience. He will tell the story about the history of the Ramayana or Mahabharata, the philosophy of life of Javanese people transferred through the puppet shadow show. That's our tradition. That's oral history transferred to common people. Yeah.
And it's also interesting.
It's not through the perkament that.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's not through the perkament that the leader written something and then the common people read it. It's not like that. But through the performance, like a puppet shadow performance, that's become a knowledge transfer. Here in the Javanese tradition, especially, because in other islands they have a different tradition. Yeah.
And it's also become somewhat of a calling card of the culture, because you go to any major museum anywhere in the world, and you can see those shadow puppets. I've seen them in Moscow, in St. Petersburg, in Paris, even here I'm in Belgrade in Serbia now. I've found a couple. So they're very, very well known, and they always fascinate me. They have those minute, almost calligraphic details in with those cutouts.
And also the
that's by the way,
different character.
Sorry to intervene, but
Yeah.
as you mentioned, Kai Rantakari, and we had a lengthy discussion with her on what is a book and what isn't a book. This sort of
Yes.
shadow theater is mixing the oral tradition with physical objects, the puppets themselves. So in a way, it's a sort of elaborate book created by the puppeteer. So it may be one step too far for many traditional book lovers and bookbinders, but still, I guess you can argue.
And also here in Java, we have another form of the puppet. It's called scrolling puppet. So every character drawn in the scroll, mostly made with fabric, and then the master will open just a little part and then go through another part. It's like a sequence of animation. Yeah, the different kind of puppet storytelling. Yeah, we have some forms like of the. Yeah, it's like a scrolling book. We call it wayang beber. Yeah. Scrolling puppet.
I wanted to check some of the comments because there are a couple of comments on YouTube, nothing on Facebook yet. But anyway, I wanted also to mention that if our viewers would mention from where they come, we're always happy to see that in the comments because, well, it's interesting from which parts of the world our viewers come. And if you have any questions, to our guest or to us in general, please leave a comment and we'll try to answer your questions. But what we have at the moment is Han Fleet from Lancaster, United Kingdom. Hello, Han, and Patrizia Vignoli from Bologna, Italy. So it's at least the ones who sent a message were from Europe. Maybe there are more viewers there from other regions of the world, and if they want to disclose their location.
Usually when we stream this early in European time, this early in the morning, most of the comments come from Australia, New Zealand, Asia,
Vietnam, and some other countries in that part of the world. But maybe somebody will see. Some of them will see it in record version. Anyway, let's continue.
I wanted to ask you about how you use local traditions in your work, because while bookbinding may not be as readily available to you as a transferable craft, weaving and wood carving and many other things are certainly alive and well. Could you maybe show some examples and talk about how you use those traditions?
So far, I use that as a material source, like the traditional fabric or the traditional wood carving from the North Sulawesi Islands, something like that. But I still explore which craftsmanship that can adopt to bound the books. Because, like I said before, we have a different systematical tradition to collect the knowledge. Yeah, it's really different with the codex system that the European made through the books. Like in North Sumatra, only folded as an accordion, or palm leaf, only put a string to collect all the leaves into it's not, I don't think it, we call it manuscript, lontar manuscript, yeah. But nothing that showing together, yeah. So yeah, so far I just try to explore the source of the decoration, the traditional material, or like the pattern, like batik pattern. I try to transfer into the showing pattern on the book spine. Yeah, something like that. So far, I hope I can explore more. Yeah, from my own tradition. Yeah.
Well, we hope to see it on your Instagram as well.
Yeah.
My prompt resulted in a couple of more comments. So there is Marianne Charlotte Beyer. I've watched from Copenhagen, from Denmark.
Yeah.
She wrote, and Mark Cockram, hi from London. So Mark Cockram is also watching us. And
hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark. Nice to have you there.
Perhaps I could show one work of Tarlen's. She mentioned a carving, and I'm fascinated by this book. I mean, this is amazing. Is this the Sulawesi carving that you mentioned?
Yeah, it's a traditional wood carving from Toraja. It's a north part of Sulawesi Island. Yeah, Celebes Island.
And is it representational in any way? Is it does it tell something about the identity of the person who cut it, or is it purely a decoration? Or what are all those?
It's a purely decoration, because all the decoration mostly applied on the traditional house. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just asked to the local artist there, can you make me a book cover with this size and make some apply that traditional decoration into that cover? Yeah. And also this wood, it's special from that area, because they need special, not all woods can be carved easily.
Okay.
So they need the specific woods to do that. Yes.
And then you match the stitching, and I guess the color of the pages is also sort of matching the design.
Yeah, this is my first exploration. Before I took some classes in the CBBAG Canada. So this is the period when I explore stitching on the spine, on the book spine. Yeah.
And what kind of project is this? Is this a book made for an exhibition, or do you sell books like that? Was there more than one made? This looks like a special book.
Yeah. This is my personal project, not for exhibition or just for my own collection. Yeah. But in 2001 and 2021, the National Gallery of Singapore invited me to become one of the exhibitor in the Children Biennale exhibition. So I have to respond one of the children books into the book arts, and exhibit there for a month. Yeah.
I'll stop sharing now.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I can show you which the work that I exhibit in the National Gallery of Singapore. Wait, this one. Okay.
So you need to share your screen then?
This is the children book title. It's Karung Guni Boy. So it's about a boy who really loved to explore trash into something, creating space rockets from the boxes, something like that. So I have to respond that title. So I make this book the universe of ideas. Yeah.
This is beautiful.
This is extraordinary.
Yeah.
And so well exhibited. I like how the light plays on it. You can feel it moving, almost flying through the air.
Yeah. It's like I make really small books, and then I just hang on the ceiling of the box of the exhibition. So it's like a flying ideas, and then it's like a weave of the ideas, something like that. That's my interpretation for that title.
And in some way, this is reminiscent of the work you do for the theme of the month for Are You Book Enough project.
Yeah.
I've seen a number of very complicated structures that you do. Could you perhaps talk about that a bit? Maybe even some of them?
Most of the works that I made for Are You Book Enough, it's spontaneous. Yeah, like the book that you show on the publication. I just found the vintage board, the keyboard, the old keyboard PCB board.
Yeah.
Because you can find the Intel 1981 on the chips. That's my collection. That's the collection of my brother. My brother is junk collection.
Okay.
So I just searching
he's
on
a fellow IT
page.
guy, or because Pavel and I have IT background, and when we saw this book of yours, I was pretty excited because it's IT history there in book form. This is perfect.
He really loves to collect old the vintage computer part.
Yeah. Okay.
On his garage. So when the theme came, I just looking for something interesting on his garage. And then I found that one. My brother helped me to cut into 2 pieces. And then I just thought maybe the new plastic PCBs can be the insert of the books. So it's like the journey of the keyboard, the computer keyboard.
Pavel, do you have it on hand? Maybe you can share your screen and show
yeah.
Or Tarlen, or you can any of you.
Maybe you can help me.
Pavel, will you show it?
Yeah, I'm working on it. Just a second.
We used it for our announcement of this live stream, but still.
Like this one.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I go to the Home Depot, the local Home Depot to find the hinge as to connect every signature inside the book.
It also looks like very like steampunk or something like that.
Yeah. I can imagine it being read by a robot. You know this game Stray about a cat in the world of robots. They probably read something like this.
Yeah. And also the inside part of the book, it's the new PCB board made from plastic now. Yeah.
So
if you
old meets
open
new.
the keyboard, old meets new. Yeah. I forgot. The theme of the books, it's hardware. Yeah. So it's
and also looking through the works you did for iBook Enough, many things jump out at me. I really like this one, for example.
Yeah, this one. This is the book because I just moved to Jogja. This is the third year I moved to Yogyakarta. So in Yogyakarta, I can find easily the dried banana leaf. Yeah. And the local people here usually use that dried leaf to cover the brown sugar. So it's not melting easily because the wrap in the kalaras, we call it kalaras as a banana leaves. So I just found that it's very wavy and artistic, and also it's like naturally weathered and distressed. It's like a distressed paper. The aging paper, it's become a yellow or something. But when I saw the kalaras, I think it's a good idea to use to respond the weather theme with this kind of material. Yeah.
It's very expressive, and it's sort of like a Rorschach test or something. You can tell a lot about a person on how they interpret this book.
And also it reminded me in its use of found natural weathered materials, it reminded me of the work of one of our earlier guests from Hawaii who lives and works on a coffee farm and uses found materials to create her very expressive book sculptures. And what this book sculpture that you showed us from the exhibition reminded me immediately, I really like this thing you
because
made
the theme
recently.
It's in between. This is the really personal feeling, because I just moved to other cities, and then it's not easy to. You need to adapt everything in your life. So it's like in between. So many hands helped me to go through this process. So that's why I create these books. Inspired by the Heidi Kyle books, the Art of the Fold.
Well, we recently talked about that book with Bab von Stapelfine, help me. Bab von, yes, she makes lots of books using her techniques, and this is definitely a book. When you first see it, it's how is it a book? Here's how. I mean, very much a book.
It's like a hand trying to reach out another hand for help.
And Oh, there were more. I can't load more. Yeah, there were many more. What about this one?
This one it's yeah, because the theme it's close. Sometimes I just respond the theme with something that just pop up in my mind. Like when I read the theme, I just in my mind it's just it's like a Bible. It's like a Babel tower that everybody speak in their own language, but they not really communicate each other. Yeah. So I try to process how to visualize that Babel tower into books. Yeah. So
and have you come up with this extraordinary structure yourself? This is very unusual.
Yeah.
I don't think we've seen anything like it before.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just try to imagine. Yeah, I just try to imagine the Babel form, and then try to imagine how that tower made from the collection of the books that represent the different of the language, yeah, the different of knowledge, but it can be become a unity, but it's not communicate each other.
And it's not, at least it doesn't look stable. Like you can see how it could be.
Yeah, it's like a pizza tower. Yeah.
Well, the raised form, I guess, is the most impressive. But what's also very impressive about this book is just how many forms it has. In a raised form, in a round form, in whatever other form. So it's you can do anything you want with it.
It's become a flexible form, depend on your point of view.
And all these micro projects for Are You Book Enough, are they micro projects, or can you get obsessed and spend too much time on it?
Oh yeah, that's a micro SD card, a book that I think it's a 1.5 meter long. Yeah. Because I just really want to know how many pages that we need to print 60 gigabyte micro SD card. Yeah.
Well, quite a lot.
But I only, that's a lot, maybe million pages, yeah. But 1.5 meter only represent, I think, 0.6 gigabyte. That's crazy, right?
That's a lot.
That's really crazy. Yeah.
So we got a couple of new comments, and Marianne Charlotte Bayer wrote beautiful work, and I think it was 12 minutes ago, so I think it was related to this exhibit in Singapore you showed us with the miniature books flying in the light, but maybe I'm right. Anyway, all books we've seen today are quite beautiful, and also Mark Cockram wrote, I think it was about this Tower of Babel book, very cool book he wrote, and we definitely agree.
Yeah.
Also from Marianne Charlotte, really inspiring to see your creative ideas, and that's what I'd like to say as well. Thank you very much, Tarlen, for showing it
Thank you so much.
You mentioned that you sort of have to provide for your creative and restoration works with making books to sell and with making something marketable, but where is your main audience? What are your clients? Are they from Indonesia? Are they from worldwide, from abroad? What's your clientele?
Yeah, my main client is from 99% it's Indonesian.
Okay.
Mostly from Jakarta, yeah, from the capital of Indonesia, and corporation and organization.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that should be probably a stable source of income, I guess. Well,
Yeah.
establish.
Yeah, and I also collaborate with one of the sustainable fashion brand that I use the fabric scrap for the book cover. So we sell as a collaboration brand. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Tarlenology and Sejauh Mata Memandang. Because in Indonesia it's really big market. Yeah. So when you have the right marketing and communication strategy, you can get a really good share of market, yeah, and you can make a living from that market. So that's why when I held the workshop, bookbinding workshop, I always teach the basic one and campaign about the bookbinding. Because most of people in Indonesia, they didn't know what what the bookbinding is. They only know the copy document service.
Yeah.
They provide the binding with it's like a block binding
or
with the glue.
thesis binding or something like that.
Yeah,
Glue
thesis
spine.
binding, something like that. Yeah. But they didn't know that so many technique and the history behind it. Yeah. So when I run the class, I always came with the explanation what is a bookbinding and what the story behind it, craftsmanship. Yeah. So yeah, it's like become a bookbinder in Indonesia, you have to be a craftivist also. You have to campaign your craftsmanship to people.
Yeah. Well.
And so they can appreciate more the bookmaking process, and they can appreciate more the book collection that they have. Yeah.
In one of the photos you shared with us while you were showing some of your books, I saw that there was some workshop setting or something, and there were some kids as well. Do you teach more kids or more adults? How does it work for you, and what do you prefer?
It's mixed. Yeah. With the collaboration brand, we have the corporate social responsibility program. So I can teach the sociality from the upper class communities until the lower class communities. It's different. It's depend on the program. But kids, mostly I teach the special needs kids who need crafting as a therapy.
Okay.
So yeah, I just teach them the simple one sheet paper book that fold into. They can draw a comic book or whatever expression. Yeah.
I thought once we had a sort of joint agreement with one of the rehabilitation centers in Moscow for people with severe disabilities, and I taught one workshop with some of their how you say tenants and. It was a very interesting experience. I understand for all of us, all of the participants, both myself and my helpers and the people who took part in this workshop. Unfortunately, it didn't go further because we thought about maybe doing a series of classes. But yeah, you can see that it can give some additional inspiration to people with special needs. I had another question, but I absolutely forgot it. Going down the memory lane.
I wanted to ask you, do you work alone? Do you have assistants? Because on Instagram you often show some dozens and dozens of about yourself.
I have, since I moved to Yogyakarta, I have one assistant. She's on the training right now. So she's doing the not the binding part, but it's like prepare the material, the details, some details. But before I moved to Jogja, I had two assistants who worked with me for years. So he already know how to showing the books, and I just give him instruction. Could you make this technique? And then he can do it by himself. No, because I moved to another city, so I have to retrain a new assistant from the beginning. Yeah, that's my challenge now.
Nice.
We have a couple more comments, more like clearing up. Mark Cochran was saying how cool your banana leaf book was. Yeah.
Thank you.
Could you perhaps talk a bit about your plans? Where do you want to take this no longer hobby but a work of yours?
Yeah. Right now, starting from this early year, in January, I take a new job as a program manager in the space of archive and women movement history in Indonesia. So it's more related to the history subject. I designed bookbinding as the tool to knowing the history of our communities. Like I will help some workshop like family portrait album workshop, but not only bind or make a family photo album, but also how you make a narration on your family history, thing like that. So I try to give more content and context to my craftsmanship through the history perspective. Yeah. Yeah, that's my future project. Yes.
And it is an archive of what? It's a local archive. What kind of materials are you going to be working with?
I've been working with the part of the period of history in the modern Indonesia. So it's kind of national history archive. But the problem with the history archive, mostly just put on the rack, and then never, people just didn't look at it. Yeah. Never access. Yeah, it's hard to access sometimes. Yeah. So my organization now, our mission is how to give them access to that archive, and also how to give the how to build the history consciousness to the common people, that you need to realize that history of the nation, it's really important to learn, but you can learn through the history of your family and history of yourself. And I try to combine the craftsmanship of the bookbinding into that perspective. Yeah. Because it's really close related, yeah.
Well, the history of sorry.
The form, the book form, the book binding as a form and as a craftsmanship, it can be contextualized into the history perspective. People can learn history through the book binding process or bookmaking process. Yeah.
So you mean shifting the styles depending on which time period you are talking about, or what sort of?
It's depend on the audience that I want to communicate. Yeah. Yeah, I still try to find the form of the program, but my mission is use the bookbinding as a tools to learn the history. Yeah, that's my next project. Yeah, but my hobby side, still I eager to explore more about the technique, the pattern, so many things, aspect in the book binding that I really want to explore. Yeah. Okay.
It's an interesting approach of learning history through the family history, and that's something I guess people in other countries can and should probably learn from, because, well, at least from our experience with Russia, it often happens that people do not know their family history at all, and this results in a lot of myths influencing their state of mind. And for example, with the Soviet Union, a lot of people think that it was a sort of paradise on earth, and but then if you start digging, it appears that in 1930s there were a lot of unfair trials and sentences and all of that, and it touched upon a lot of families, and the ancestors do not know about it at all, and that's something that leads to events that happen right now. So everything has consequences, and I guess learning about it would be really nice, but, well, I don't see anything like that happening in the modern Russia right now, unfortunately. Maybe in the future.
Hopefully. Yeah, so we can because I think one of the period in 65 period history in modern Indonesia, we share history, because most of the intellectual sent to the Soviet to learn, to go to the university, and then never come back because the turmoil of the politics in Indonesia.
Okay.
We share the history.
That's also an interesting part of the history. That's true. We got a couple more comments on YouTube. So Olga Mars, hello from Portugal. That's
Hello.
I'm not sure that somebody joined us from Portugal before, but I may be wrong.
Safe for a guest, but he wasn't in Portugal. He was Portuguese, but in Denmark.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was living in Denmark, but we haven't published his podcast yet, but we should do it really soon. And Patricia Vignoli posted really brilliant, and once again, that's something we agree with for sure. So I guess we'll be closing off our live stream pretty soon. Maybe we can go through a couple more books. Pavel, do you?
I could show a couple more books, especially from the iBook enough.
Yeah.
Can we?
It's always interesting to see creative book structures.
What about this one? Or wasn't it yours? No,
this is from the summer school. Yeah.
And how is it made? Because it's not immediately obvious.
This is made from the cut of the novel, the paperback books, cut into 2 pieces, and then just fold it into another structure. Yeah.
So a lot
and then
of
I
work.
put a string. Yeah. It's like the onion book from the summer school. Yeah.
It's like a bag, basically. I can imagine.
Yeah, it's like a bag or the
returning to our favorite topic of girdled books. That sort of fits.
Just a second. Just a second.
You saw something you want to show us.
Yeah. This one. This is made out of tickets. Am I right?
Yeah. I collect all my traveling tickets on my diary. So I just scan it and then create a pattern and then print out into tracing paper. Yeah, so all my tickets.
And speaking of working with memory,
that's a labor activist who raped and murdered during the New Order regime. Yeah. So I created a book as a tribute to her because the case is never resolved. She killed by the military. So it just never resolved.
And she was an activist, a worker rights activist, right?
Yeah.
And it's a book that definitely looks like a memorial, and that's also quite impressive. How it's
and a portable memorial at that.
Yeah.
Also this.
Oh, that's one my favorite. It's like a black box recording from the airplane.
Yeah.
And I print the transcript from the last communication before the airplane crash. Yeah. It's always give me a goosebump every time.
I know.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
And those are, what is it rolled onto? It's from.
That came from the yarn, what you call
bobbins, I think. No.
Yeah, bobbins. Yeah.
And this is definitely a book, and when the form connects to the material in such a way, it's amazing. I like this a lot.
This also returns us to our all persisting question: what is a book and what isn't a book? Because this is a scroll. So, and scroll is a traditional form of book form for centuries and millennia. But some other objects are less looking like a book. But once again, returning to Kai Rantakari, what she told us was if it transfers some information to you, and if it is an object, probably it can be a book. Not only objects are books in the modern world, because there are audiobooks, there are digital books, and they are not objects themselves. But still, it still adds to this understanding that the concept of books is expanding more and more with every new year, with every new technology, and with every new idea.
Yeah. So these books.
And what about this one? I think I need one like it.
That's the analog status, analog emoji.
Yeah. And hurt, embarrassed, sleepy, surprised, hungry. There will be a lot of those. Confused. Yeah. Totally. And this is for like for cataloging those
status
comments. Yeah. This is fun.
Actually, I make a lot of copy for these books, because some people just ask me, "Can I have one?"
And also this DNA shaped creation. What was the topic here? Family, I guess. Yes.
Family.
And what are those photos?
That's my grandpa from my father's side and from my mother's side. I draw a picture of my grandpa's, and then I print out into the tracing paper, and then the text, it came from the family, because my mother, from my mother's side, she's related with the Kingdom of Yogyakarta. So she has a letter from the kingdom about the family trees. Written in the Javanese Sanskrit.
Which I assume you can't read, so it's as mysterious for you as for us. Or can you read it?
No, I cannot read it.
But you can appreciate the beauty of it as we
do. So that's why I took a picture that I draw my grandpa using the traditional hat, the Japanese traditional hat. That's a traditional costume that my both grandpas wore.
I like how all these Are You Book Enough projects of yours have stories in them, and this we should probably say to our viewers who don't know what Are You Book Enough is, that anyone can join it, that it's an almost monthly or even monthly idea generator. So if you don't know what to make, go there.
And join with that community. That's wonderful communities. And also, I think on July, the Are You Book Enough will hold the first gathering in Seattle.
Well, it's a bit too far away.
I hope I can Yeah, I hope I can go to United States and join with that gathering, but I don't know. It's hard to find a visa right now to United States
Yeah.
from Indonesia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you started with that. That's as an Indonesian, you have to get all the visas all the time, and that's something we
Yeah.
have to face as well because we lived in
Yeah.
France for a couple of years and we had the residency there in France. But now we moved to the UK,
Yeah.
and we need to get
Yeah.
European visas to go back to Europe,
Oh.
and it's a problem for us because. I usually took part in different bookbinding fairs in Europe, and I'm not sure if I
Yeah.
will be able to get visa before April because, well, everything is taking a lot of time. And once again, as we're Russian citizens, for us it's even harder now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
some
You can understand.
some countries stopped issuing visas to Russians, like the Netherlands, for
Mm-hmm.
example. They do not issue any visas to
Oh.
Russians at all at the moment. And well, and when you talk with many of Europeans or Americans, like my wife, we moved because of your work. And
Mm-hmm.
she was talking to her colleagues, and they were like, well, while you are waiting for your working visa to move to the UK, you can visit us just like a tourist. And she was like, no, I can't, because for that I also need to get a visa, a tourist visa.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah, it's
for-
not
for-
easy to
yeah,
get the
for-
tourist visa.
for so many people it's just it's a concept that doesn't exist in their mind, that you have to
Yeah.
move freely, you have to jump through a lot of hoops, and
Yeah, yeah.
well, that's our life.
That's a kind of
Speaking
privilege,
of
yeah.
sad and angry and confused, yeah.
You can write it down on the confused envelope. Yeah.
So
I'll stop sharing my
you're right.
screen now.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. But you're right that become a bookbinder in Europe or America, it's a really privilege. Yeah.
yeah
But for me, as an Indonesian who decided to be a bookbinder, you need a lot of effort. Yeah,
that's true.
it's
And
not easy.
what did your parents think about this unusual choice of path?
Yeah, because my father died many years ago. He didn't know, and my mother,
Sorry.
yeah, she's just do whatever you want to do.
Well, that's a good attitude.
Yeah,
we got another
as long
comment.
as
Yeah, sorry.
yeah. No, yeah, my parent, it's not really strict parent. They just teach me the spirit of the craftivism since the beginning, because my mother really loved showing, and my father really loved the automotive. He collect old cars. Yeah. So he got he take a course to automotive things. So he really understand when their children choose the hobby really seriously, like me. So it's no problem for them.
Well, that's good, and now we can all of us can enjoy your beautiful books. I wanted to say that this is probably the last moment. If anyone still wants to ask any questions, that's your last chance, because we'll finish our live stream soon. And we got another comment from Lin Anwar. Hi, I'm from Malaysia.
Oh,
And I
hi.
remember that Lin tried to join our live streams for a couple of times before, but they were in an uncomfortable time for for a person from Malaysia. So today is much better, I guess. And hi, nice to have you here.
Only 1 hour different, yeah?
Yeah.
Only 1 hour different.
Yeah.
So it was quite amazing, and well, I got everything I wanted from this talk. Thank you
I
very
really
much.
enjoyed to talk to you both. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, because we sort of, obviously we are in Europe, and a lot of bookbinders are in the UK or in the United States, so it happened that way that we talked a lot to people from United Kingdom and the United States before, but obviously book world is global, and there are a lot of traditions, and we definitely want to invite more guests from Asia, from Africa, from South America, because in South America there is a huge book
Middle East maybe.
So if you
thank you so much.
If you have any ideas on whom we should invite to our future live streams from different regions of the world, you don't have to say anything right now, but we'll probably ask you to send us a message or something.
We'll keep in touch. Okay.
Definitely. And I'll check the comments once again, what's happening there. But yeah, nothing more. I hope everyone enjoyed this live stream. Again, many thanks to you, Tarlen. And thank you, Pavel.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
for both of you,
and thank you to our viewers and listeners. It's always nice to have a good company.
Yeah, as usual. If you are not subscribed to our YouTube, Facebook, social media, Instagram, please do that. Please share this video, because it was an amazing talk, and you definitely should share it. There are links in the description to Tarlen's Instagram. Also, please subscribe. And we also have some additional links to our Discord server, where you can ask some questions. And there is some community of people who answer bookbinding questions. We also have a Patreon account, and we really use the money that comes from our patrons, from our supporters, to support our project and live streams. And once again, thank you, Tarlen, for joining us, for talking with us.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed to talk to you, Pavel and Steven. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we hope probably to see you in the future, maybe to discuss some of your new works that will appear in 2023, and we'll see how it goes. I will stop streaming, and as usual, we'll stay for a minute or so while the
Bye everyone.
Drops.
I didn't get to say bye to all viewers.
For now,
bye.
Thank you all, and see you next time, next week. What's happening? Where? What? Yeah. Okay.